Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're going to break down the absolute firestorm of controversy around one of the most divisive movies in modern cinema, Quentin Tarantino's Django Unchained. I mean, right from the get-go, this movie forces you to ask a really uncomfortable question. And it doesn't just, gently ask it. It shoves it right in your face with this wild mix of brutal violence and this super stylized, almost comedic action. And listen, even the star of the film, Jamie Foxx, said it himself. This is not supposed to be a passive viewing experience. The movie was built from the ground up to provoke, to get under your skin and make you feel something, even if that something is just pure rage. And boy, did it provoke. When it came out, the reactions were polar opposites. I mean, on one hand, you had people hailing it as this incredible, empowering story of Black revenge. But on the other, people condemned it for turning a historical atrocity, a Holocaust, really, into genre entertainment. And this split created a huge cultural debate that, honestly, we're still talking about today. Okay, so to really get into that debate, we've got to look at both sides. Let's start with the first one, the argument that Django is actually a powerful and maybe even necessary revenge fantasy. So, the people who love this film, they see Django as a brand new kind of folk hero. Think about it. He completely flips this old, painful movie trope on its head. You know the one, where the person of color sidekick dies to save the white hero? Yeah, not here. Here, it's the white mentor who sacrifices himself so the Black hero can win. Django is not a victim. He is an avenger. And how does Tarantino pull this off? Well, he mashes up two really distinct kind of rebellious genres. You've got all the grit and the revenge plots of a classic spaghetti western, right? But then he layers in the righteous, fight-the-power anger of 70s blaxploitation movies. The result is this totally unique hero in a historical setting that, let's be real, has almost never had a hero like him. And this wasn't just a critical take. The cast was right there with it. Kerry Washington, who plays Broomhilda, she argued that all that brutal violence wasn't just for show. She said it was essential. That if you didn't show the true, ugly horror of slavery, Django's final victory would just feel, well, hollow. But for a lot of people, that very mix of entertainment and atrocity, that was the entire problem. And that brings us to the other side of this whole debate, the view that the film is just a deeply disrespectful take on history. And probably the most famous voice on this side was filmmaker Spike Lee. I mean, he was not shy about it. His argument was simple but incredibly powerful. American slavery was a Holocaust. It's a subject that's too sacred, too horrific, to be turned into a stylish Western. For him, it was just plain disrespectful to his ancestors. A lot of this criticism really comes down to the film's historical inaccuracies, and some of them are pretty blatant, like that whole scene with the bumbling proto-Klansmen, pure fiction for the time period. But the biggest invention, the one that's absolutely central to the plot, is this so-called practice of Mandingo fighting. Yep, I'm talking about that. In the movie, it's shown as this absolutely grotesque blood sport for the entertainment of Calvin Candy and his guests. Basically, enslaved men forced to fight to the death. So here's the kicker. What's the historical consensus? Mandingo fighting was completely made up. Historians are clear on this. There is zero evidence it ever happened. So where did Tarantino get it? Not from history book. He borrowed it from a 1975 exploitation movie. And for critics, like the historian Blair Kelly, this points to a much bigger issue. See, by turning slave owners into these bizarre, cartoonish villains or bumbling fools, the film kind of lets the real evil off the hook. The true horror of slavery wasn't just a few bad guys. It was an entire system, an entire society that used its education, its religion, everything, to justify an unimaginable horror. Okay, so this all leads us right to the man himself, to Quentin Tarantino's own philosophy and his defense of making these exact choices. And this really gets to the core question that Tarantino's work always seems to pose, doesn't it? Does a film about slavery have to be a historical document? Is an artist's only job to be 100% accurate? Or can they use history as a backdrop, a stage, really, to explore huge themes like revenge and justice, but using the language of movies? Tarantino, for his part, draws a super sharp line in the sand on this. He's gone on record saying that real-world violence is one of the worst things about America. He hates it. But movie violence? That's totally different. For him, it's a tool. It's like a color for a painter. It can be stylized, it can be entertaining, it can even be cool if it's serving the story. And that's exactly what he says he was doing with Django. His goal was never to make some dusty textbook history lesson. No way. He wanted to use the rules of a genre movie, an exciting adventure, to tell a story that would grab you by the collar and force you to engage with this stuff in a way that, let's face it, a dry documentary probably couldn't. So, whether you're on board with his approach or not, one thing's for sure. This movie is absolutely packed with layers of allegory and symbolism. It goes way, way deeper than just a simple shoot-'em-up.
For starters, Django's whole quest isn't just about revenge. It's a direct allegory for a famous German myth, the story of Siegfried, a hero who has to rescue his love, Brunhilde, from a dragon.
And I mean, the parallels are not subtle. Django is Siegfried, the hero. His wife's name is literally Brunhilde. The villain, Calvin Candy, he's the dragon guarding her. And that awful punishment in the hot box, that's the mythical ring of fire she's trapped in. See? Tarantino is deliberately lifting the story out of just history and turning it into a timeless myth. And this level of detail and complexity, well, it didn't go unnoticed. The movie jumped right past the usual movie reviews and sparked serious debate in academic circles. You had scholars writing papers, analyzing its ideology, its use of violence, and its real meaning. Even something as simple as a costume is loaded with meaning. Remember that iconic, kind of ridiculous blue suit Django wears? That was no accident. It's a direct visual nod to the famous 1779 painting, The Blue Boy. It's a powerful symbol, right? A visual cue of his transformation from being someone's property to becoming this free, powerful, almost princely hero. So in the end, what is Django Unchained? It's still a total lightning rod. A movie that just refuses to be put in a simple box. It sits pretty uncomfortably, and I think intentionally, right at the intersection of brutal history, heroic fantasy, and just pure wild genre filmmaking. And maybe that's its true legacy. The film doesn't really give you any easy answers. Instead, it leaves you with a huge question. Does creating a fantasy hero to rewrite a painful history actually empower us? Does it give us a release? Or does it risk creating a comfortable lie that lets us forget the real, messy, unchangeable history? That's the question, and the debate is far from over.